Good morning. It's July 5th, 2016. I will call the Wright County Board meeting to order. We'll begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The minutes of June 28th.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll second that.
Motion by Glide and second by Hewson. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimous. The agenda. Anybody have anything they wish to add or amend on today's agenda?
Chair, I'll make a motion to approve the agenda for today.
I'll second it.
Okay, motion by Commissioner Hewson, second by Commissioner Potter. Any further discussion? Are you on the agenda? Do you need to get on the agenda?
It's about the Carl Lieutenant Farm estate.
Excuse me?
The Carl Lieutenant.
Oh, Gutnick? Okay, you'd like to speak on that? Okay.
You want to amend that?
I will, yeah, if
You want to add that
That's acceptable, Mr.
at
Chair.
9:04?
I will, yes.
Okay.
Agree that.
Okay, we'll take you first. Are you Dan's brother, or is
Sister,
someone here, I'm sorry, is Dan your brother?
Yes, Dan
Okay.
is my brother.
That's-
We both are sisters. The executor of the will.
Well, we're not ready to start yet, I just kind of wanted to verify, so, okay.
Yeah, we're sisters.
You're luckier, he kind of had to wait a while towards the end on his a couple times, and you're going to get to go right away here, so he's probably going to be jealous if you go home and tell him you didn't have to wait a long time.
That's okay.
Okay, the Gutnick property. Okay, so we had a motion and a second, right? Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimous. And the consent agenda, anything to remove for further discussion?
I'll make a motion to approve it on the agenda.
Second. Motion by Commissioner Glide and second by Commissioner Burrell. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimous. If you could come up to the microphone, please, and speak and give us your name and whichever you two would like to speak.
Okay.
I'm sorry you have to go up there considering you got a sore leg, but otherwise it won't be able to be recorded.
That's okay. Good exercise. Okay, we're sisters. Dad died, and Danny seems like he was working very.
Could you give the name of each of you two
I'm
since you're
sorry,
going to
I'm
be here? And then
Barb.
I don't know if you live on that property, you can tell us that, or if you live somewhere else, your address,
Okay.
or just the city or address or township.
Okay, I am Barb Clifton. My maiden name is Barb Gutnick. I live in Montrose right now.
I'm Carla McPherson. I live on the premises. So some of the stuff that you are doing that you never approached me is my items.
And you've lived there how long?
I moved back home back in '93. So my household goods is in some of those totes
And some of your kids?
and my kids' items.
Okay, just, I wonder if Kreiser's up there today.
No, he's not in
He's
today.
not in today? Okay, go ahead and go. I don't think we're going to be able to take any action on this since it
I know,
wasn't
it's just we
on
would
the
like-
agenda,
we
and,
would just
there's all
like-
that they wanted to attend, but go ahead.
We would just like to be heard and.
Okay, yep, no, we're gonna hear you. I
And that you
just-
guys know what is going on.
The only reason I'm just a little bit concerned that, why I say we probably won't be able to take any action and we'll
Right.
see what happens is that others may have wanted to attend, like, I don't know if your brother Dan knows you're here or not.
Yes, he does.
or-
Yes, he does.
Or if anybody else would have, but
He
go ahead.
chose to stay out at the farm trying to finish cleaning up everything.
Okay, so go ahead and carry on then.
It seemed like Danny was working really well with the county, and the county was really working well with him. And then all of a sudden, since Dad died, take a breath. Which was in April. It just seems like everything has gone into fast motion with Dad being gone and all of a sudden, and then the barn accidentally burning down. I mean, I know it was decrepit. I know it was falling down. I'm not saying my brother is totally right with having all the stuff on the farm. I'm not saying that. We did bring a picture, and I believe the date on this picture is,
Actually, it's on the back of the picture.
is it?
May 22nd, 98.
Okay, this was taken in 98, and it shows, I thought there was another one too, back in 78 that we had. I thought there was another aerial photo that we had that's taken in 78 that had like 60 cars on the farm. So it's not like Danny all of a sudden just started loading up the farm with stuff. I mean, because ever since, like I said, ever since like 78, there's been 60 cars at least on the farm. This is an aerial shot of 98. I'm not saying that it's a glorious sight. I'm just stating the fact of, throughout the years, we've had stuff on the farm. Danny's had stuff on the farm. Danny's lived there also. I'm not even sure how long Danny's lived there. Carla and Danny have lived on the farm to keep my mom and dad on there. Dad died at the age of 92, so we didn't have to put him in a nursing home. So they put a lot of their lives on hold. They couldn't get part-time, they have part-time jobs, they couldn't get full-time jobs because the dad and the older parents. The other thing is some of the stuff that's in the estate is gone. My mom had pictures and photographs, and she told where the stuff was. Some of the stuff Danny had stored in some of his semi-truck trailers or the buses. That stuff is gone. We cannot settle the estate. We were the power of attorneys. My other two sisters, one is in Missouri, one is up by Fargo. They're the executors of the will. They're working on it. Jan Larson is our attorney. He's on vacation right now, so we couldn't get a hold of him. But we were told by Jan that we did not have to file for probate because the whole entire estate is under a certain amount. So that is why there was never ever probate papers filled out or signed or anything. My brother did, yes, he was denied. He asked for a dumpster or some help. He was denied. I called up one other person. I was denied, saying the county told them not to help us out. So it wasn't just Danny being told that. I was told that also. I did find somebody else, though, I called another person, and they were willing to bring out a dumpster out to the farm. So that way it kind of clears you guys up. I know then, it's not totally the county was telling everybody not to help us out. I did take Danny up to Monticello one time because we were told, and this was just like, a month ago that I took Danny to Monticello to get all the licenses?
Yeah.
Because Danny went through all his stuff. He got all the titles of the vehicles he could. We went up to Monticello. We got the new license tabs or the plates. We put them on the vehicles, and then those were some of the ones that got pulled also. So I feel that was like a waste of money. Don't tell Danny that they should be licensed when he should have been told they need to be running on the road also. Because like now there's money that's gone and spent. And the barn is not part of Danny. The barn I consider is part of the estate. So we as the estate needs to clean the barn up. Because like I said, Danny doesn't own the farm. It belongs, Dad signed it over to all 6 kids upon death. So all 6 of us kids own the farm. And yes, we still have to file the papers there again. We're working with Jan Larson with that. So, there again, I was just here, and she has titles to the vehicles that got taken that were in her name. They were licensed or insured at the time. She has proof of insurance. She was not even talked to about it. She even stood out there. She was out in plain view, and I'm not sure who came out to the farm because I'm kind of getting in the middle of this. I'm sorry. I'm the baby of the family. I'm very emotional. Sorry. But she even went out there and stood out there, and nobody came and talked to her, even though, like Danny would say, that's my sister's vehicle, you can't take that, you have to talk to her. Nobody approached her, nobody talked to her, nobody asked her if her vehicles could get taken off of there. my one vehicle, I had stuff stored in one vehicle out there. Danny was storing some of my stuff. I do admit they did hold off on not taking that vehicle, so then I could come out there right away the next day and grab my stuff out of there real quick. So I was happy for that, but we have a lot we're going on here with the state, and I'm just saying it not everything. My dad's truck got taken off of there. That's part of in the will and in the estate. I just don't know. I just feel like everything is blamed on Danny when everything wasn't Danny's out there. And we're trying to, like I said, finish the estate or close it out or settle the estate type of thing.
Now, some of the stuff is, I read the list, and wood and stuff, we need that for finishing his shed that he wants to fit. He's got the permit, he's waiting to get in hand. But for his fence and everything, you've got that on the list. How can he finish the fence when you're gonna be trying to take the wood that he's gonna be using for it? On the farm, wood is a common necessity. You use it to repair everything. We have some sheet metal. There's an old machine shed. He was gonna use some of that metal for the fence and for his shed. On farms, you reuse what you got. So you don't have to with the metal and the wood. Yes, there is some wood that's rotted. I could see that, but not the wood. But as for my car, I was told it had to, Danny was told that it had to have current plates and everything. I made sure it was. The only problem was I had slid off the road. I had smashed the front end. The engine was good. We were looking for another body to put my rebuilt engine in. Right now I'm borrowing my brother's truck because I don't have a vehicle, because that was my backup vehicle. The other one has got to be fixed too. But I said, I work at the Wise Penny. I work 40 hours a day. I work 9-hour shifts. So I am paying the bill. I'm basically, after my dad died, I'm paying the bills. So I'm taking a day off today to be here. I don't get days off. Wise Penny is a nonprofit. You don't get days off. You either work or you don't get paid. But yeah, I had insurance on the vehicle against theft. I didn't have full collision, obviously, since it wasn't running. But I just paid for theft on that vehicle so that nobody could break in, since we had trouble with people breaking in on different vehicles. So I feel like, I was at work. I actually was at work the day that they did tow it, but I've been outside numerous times when people drive by and nobody stops in to acknowledge that they're going to be stopping in. But yeah, it's just when I moved home, I've got 2 sheds with my household because obviously it's my parents' home. I've got totes with my stuff in. And with limited space, I stacked them outside, yes, because I thought, okay, but they were out of sight unless you actually walk the backside of the farm or the house. Nobody could see it from the road. Nobody could see it from the drive. I was told first through Danny that they had to be covered. I put tarp on it. Then I'm told that's not good enough. So I've got my grandkids' toys in totes so they, kind of protect them a little bit from the rain. So when you say, what exactly is, junk to somebody is not junk to me. Because, like I said, I've got my grandkids come out and they have toys to play with. But I have them in totes, and then I have another tote on top of it to protect them somewhat from the rain. So I'm kind of going, do I have to keep putting them inside too? They're just outside toys, like parts, trucks, whatever. But yeah, it's just that if we had, even just a couple weeks to get things organized.
Or
Because
next-
they keep changing, it seems like when we do one thing,
Commissioner Potter,
Changes.
you know, we'll probably have to, I think do you have anything else, new information? Because
Well, the only other
I
thing.
probably should have maybe taken you last just because I thought now I'm
Okay.
kind of getting us
Well, the
behind
other
here,
thing
but-
is the junk pile in the back. My mom and dad bought the farm with a junk pile in the back in 1958. And now all of a sudden, they added that on, I guess, last week or 2 weeks ago. I mean, a lot of old farms have junk piles when they didn't have garbage pickup. And all of a sudden, they want that cleaned up too. I mean, it's like everybody's piling stuff on. Okay, get the farm done. Well, okay, Danny, you can't build a fence because you gotta clean up the farm. Okay, now the barn burned. Okay, now Danny, you can't clean up the farm because you gotta clean up the barn. Okay, now the barn, now you gotta add the junk pile on. And it seems like we're trying to clean up the farm, and the county is adding stuff on every single time. The barn wasn't on the original one. The junk pile wasn't on the original one. And like I said, that junk pile has been in the back since 1958, since my mom and dad bought the farm.
I think the barn wasn't on there because it hadn't burned down. And
Right, Yeah. right.
I mean, there's chaos what's there where that barn is and.
Right.
I mean, that's,
And I'll be taking pictures around the county also of other decapitated farms and barns and stuff too, and
well,
I'll be
that's
sending
fine.
them in
Commissioner
also.
Potter?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, thank you. I went to school with Dan, he was a year younger, and I feel bad, father and probate and all this, but I'm understanding that it's been a long time with the township gave an order to clean this place up, a long time. I mean, I don't mean like 2 months or I mean years,
Oh, I understand.
years.
Well, I mean, but,
And they were frustrated that nothing was getting done. They kept sending notices, and then they referred it to the county, and that's how it ended up, it got escalated because nothing was being taken care of. And I was further to understand that when somebody was coming out there, I don't know if it was Dwayne Hickman or Carl Brothers or whatever, came out to talk about getting some of these cars gone, he kept saying, no, I want to keep that one, I want to keep that one. They got frustrated and just walked away from it because they could not get him to agree to take anything out of there. And it kind of escalated to the point where the county had to do something. And how they do things, they do aerial photos now of everything else.
Right.
It's just not just a drive-by on the street
Right,
anymore.
yeah.
And that's, you're gonna notice that the ones that are in the city, the farms, there's a couple in the city of Otsego that have been noticed already by the city because they've seen stuff there.
right.
And unfortunately, you're in the township, and the fact that this has been ongoing for a long time. I mean, I believe it's over a decade that they've been, the
No.
township.
Nope.
I'll go back with Kreiser's record because.
Well, I
I'm
know
sure
Kreiser himself has been working on this for 4 years, and that's, I think, how long he's
Yeah,
worked
I
here.
would say 4 to 5, maybe
I don't-
6 years.
I was
That's when it
gonna
went to the
say
county.
6.
We were told that with the
6, okay.
township before, before they handed it, say, we can't get them to do anything, and they turned it over to the county.
So
Because-
there was a court order also on
And
this,
then,
wasn't
I
there?
mean, to me, it was, and like I said,
Exactly.
I don't know everything, but I do know, like, Danny was given like 3 months to remove 20 cars. And at the end of that 3 months, he had removed 20 cars. And then the guy would say, okay, let's remove another 20. Well, Danny in that 3 months would have removed another 20. So that's why I was under the impression Danny and the county or the township were always working together with a nice time limit. And Danny was moving accordingly.
Something
What's the
happened.
most number of cars that have ever been there?
He was at 60.
Well, that's about what we removed was close to 60,
I
so
don't
I
say-
don't know how all these
How many
20
is
got
in-
removed and
how
20
many
got
is on
removed
that
if we got
picture?
rid of 60.
No, yeah, there was more
Close to
than
60.
60.
Well, yeah. he
It was 60 back, I want to say 60 was when somebody came out, and I want to say back in 78, I mean, it's years, but I was in high school, and I want to say back in like 78, we had 60 cars, and that was okay, no more than 60 cars. So that's why that number rings a bell, that no more than 60 cars could have been in that one area, back behind my dad's pasture field type of area where Danny let the trees and everything else grow now, but.
But it got to the court order stage where it went to a judge, and a judge decided that this is out of control, nothing's getting done. Because judges just don't sign off on things just because they like the attorney's office, fourth floor. They go based on evidence and fact and what's going here. The fact that the court signed an order to clean it up tells you it must have escalated to a point and something wasn't getting done to a point where the judge, and there was
Right.
Judge Halsey, I believe it was, and he signed off saying,
Halsey.
okay, it's time to
Right.
do something now.
We agree, on the car part, but then, yeah, you still, since it's just him, and like I said, since my dad died, he has more time too, where he can actually leave the farm a little bit and take some of this stuff off and stuff. But yeah, he has been working, trying to keep up with your thing almost nonstop.
Well, it's unfortunate then that there wasn't a few other people helping him.
We've tried, and yeah, but they're no-shows.
You know,
So it's
we've had
me.
nephews out there, we've had, yeah, Carla's been out there, we have nephews out there, my boyfriend's been out there. We've had manpower, and Danny's, some of his friends have been out there, cousins have helped us, so but it's just a lot of overwhelming where they're not sure of how to help Danny with the manpower type of stuff. You know, they come out there and like, okay, what do you want me to do? And then Danny's like, well, you know, I mean, it's like a little overwhelming of telling them they can do this, and then Danny can go off and do something else on the farm type of thing. But, I mean, he has had some help, but not a lot. And like the Carl's thing, I think Danny called up for a dumpster, and that's when they denied him and said that.
Can
Commissioner
I
Burrell?
address that, though? About a year ago, this whole thing would have come to a head. George Carls had called me up and said, is there any way you can put this off? It was gonna be about $117,000 to clean the cars up, and you guys would have got billed for it. And George had told me, he says, I can take those cars out of there and pay them money. So he asked if I would assist him in putting it off. I did that, okay? Dan wouldn't let him take anything out.
Okay.
Okay, so George is the one that got frustrated, and George says, I'm not dealing
Okay.
with it anymore. It really didn't have anything to, now, George might just be saying it's,
He might be passing the
yeah,
buck, yes, I
yeah,
understand.
but George just said, I'm not working with him, and I'm
Right.
done, and that's kind of where it.
Right.
Yeah, I think this insinuation that the county is telling people not to help your brother is ridiculous. The county wants that property cleaned up. We had commissioners up here, in fact, unanimously, over the overwhelming argument of the assistant county attorney, give him 2 more weeks to do what your brother clearly said he could accomplish in those 2 weeks.
Right.
And it was accomplishable, and guess what? 90% of it didn't get accomplished.
Okay.
It was accomplishable, what we told him. He said he could do it. He said he would do it. Again, against the strong recommendation of the assistant county attorney, this board did that.
Right.
And yet, probably less than 10% of what was supposed to get done got done. Then there was a majority of this board that gave him an additional 8 days. But, you know, this suggestion that the county has told people not to help him is outrageous.
I know Danny just had mentioned that, and there was one other person I called, and they kind of told me that, the same thing, but like I said, I called another person, and they were totally in compliance and willing to come out to the farm and stuff, so, I mean, it's, you know, that's water under the bridge now, because I did get somebody else that was willing to come out.
No, even with our motion that we passed 2 weeks ago, week ago.
Yeah,
Week ago, yeah.
It gives you till tomorrow yet, so I mean, if you do have something, I mean, there's companies, George might not want to deal with this anymore because he is so frustrated
Right.
that, but there's other companies you could, you know, even French Lake, you know, you can work with them. I think the quotes that they gave us for cleaning up the cars and stuff was real reasonable, and LaPlante's, they'll pay for the metal, I mean, you're gonna get something out of it,
Right,
but.
right.
But
Oh, I
it's not like 117,000 or whatever it was a
Right,
year
right,
ago.
and I understand that, and like I said, I know Danny is not in the right for doing that to the farm, which is not his farm in the first place, but like I said, you know, like, and Carla's stuff, you know, she's been there, that's been her address for over 20 years, you know, and they just took her stuff, and then like I just said with the estate, you know, when we're trying to settle the estate, and then all of a sudden
Accomplish
Dad's truck got towed, and that was part on the estate type of thing, and then, and like the barn I feel is part of the estate, and, but I can't talk to Jan because he's on vacation, so,
When does he get back?
the 11th, I believe.
And was Jan Danny's attorney or just the
No,
estate's attorney?
he's
He's
our
the
dad's
estate.
attorney for the estate.
So who was Dan's attorney in the court?
I'm not sure.
Maybe never had one.
Never had one.
I don't know.
He has had advisors. I know where they're located.
See, I don't understand, while Dan was here a few different times, why nobody else was here.
He never told us.
Well, part of it is, like I said, I was probably the closest one, and I had to be at work in order to make money. I have to open the store. As of now, this is an emergency. Like I said, I'm taking the day off, just to let, you know, because, yeah, he and I have been working full throttle this whole weekend.
And I was
So-
never told.
Never
And then that
told.
means my other sisters, I got one in Texas, one in Missouri, and one by Fargo, and had no idea.
And maybe you don't know the answer, and maybe you don't care to tell me, but what is the plans for the farm?
The plans for the farm?
Sell the farm and split the money up 6 ways, or what's the plan?
Not sure on that.
We're not sure because, you know, Danny was the only boy, and I hate to say this on tape, but Danny is the only boy, and Mom and Dad stated in the will that Danny gets first bids on the farm to buy it from his sisters.
Farms are expensive to buy.
Yeah.
So, and then if he can't, then it goes to one of us sisters has the ability to buy it, and if none of us are interested, yes, then it will go up for sale.
If it's gonna go up for sale, I can't imagine it would, I don't even know, is there rules against transferring property with that kind of piles of stuff on it, or how does that even work? But I would think you'd want it cleaned up prior to that.
Right. Other than
Yeah.
the cousins that farm the land now, but
Sure. Okay, well, thank you.
Okay.
thank you for listening.
Well, did anybody up here wanna act on this here? Like I said, it wasn't on the agenda, but.
Can't really, there's no, actually.
No, I'm just concerned with it being a state and stuff, but,
But Greg must have known that too.
I think Greg knew it was an estate, and I would get, you know, whoever was listed as the,
yeah, that's what bothers me, is that
Executive.
nobody else knew about it.
well, the executor needs to tell people.
But who's the executor?
My two sisters, one by Fargo and one in Missouri.
What are they, does the county, was the county aware of all that?
I don't think so, well,
See, Dan should have told you guys.
right, and like Jan told us that we didn't need to file for probate because it was under, the state is under a certain amount, that we don't have to file probate papers.
I'm not attorney, I don't
Yeah,
know.
but that's a whole different matter than this one.
I know, but I mean, that would have been in the paper, or it would have been filed, and then if you guys
Is there
looked it
anything
up,
you're on
you
tomorrow,
saw that,
Yeah, he'll be here
No,
tomorrow, which is why we
because
waited till
we're-
tomorrow to do it.
or that, you know. it's
Well, I guess someone can tell them that they're making some allegation that the AV is back up. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, when it went to court, it wouldn't have been Dan that they notified about you going to court. It would have been your dad,
My dad, yeah.
or executives, or assigns.
Exactly.
He'd have had to, because it wouldn't have been Dan that got this.
Well, unless he opened up the letter when it came there, but I mean, we can only send it to who we're supposed to send it to, and if,
And all three of them live at the same address, Dan,
Okay.
Dad, and Carl.
yeah.
Okay.
So-
And you never,
Not the original action, it was my dad.
Yep.
And my dad and my brother, and Dan went. But then they dropped that one, and then they just went around my dad and went after Dan with an interest in the farm.
Well, but why didn't you tell your sisters? You're familiar with all this going on?
I did mention the thing, and, but I said it keeps changing, like I said, from running to non-running to,
But in fact, your sisters are aware that the county's been taking action to clean this property up for some time.
yeah.
So they are aware of that, okay, and they have been aware of that. Thank you. Okay, Bob Hevela, good morning, Bob.
Hey, good morning, Board. No pun intended, my first item is a housekeeping item. For elections, we have to adopt an absentee ballot board. Board, I presented these resolutions in front of you before, but going through with a fine-tooth comb, we are offering mail ballot precincts. So we need to amend our resolution to include that we'll do an absentee ballot board for our mail ballot precincts as well. So the only change in the resolutions that you've adopted in the past is the fact that we are saying that the absentee ballot board will review ballots for the mail precincts. I'm asking you to adopt that resolution.
Is there a motion on the resolution?
moved.
Motion by Potter,
second.
second by Delight. Any further discussion? Roll call vote. Commissioner Hewsom.
Aye.
Aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Resolution carries unanimous.
Board, the second item on the agenda is to approve a 1 to 4 day temporary liquor license for the Clearwater American Legion. This has been approved by the township. We have all the proper signatures. The date of the event is July 15th and 16th.
Rodeo.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Potter, second by Delide. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Pose same sign, motion carries unanimous. Item 3, posting of financial statements.
Yeah, Board, I just wanted to draw your attention to the fact that we have posted the audited financial statements. We did get them back from the Office of the State Auditor. They expressed an unqualified opinion, so our financial statements materially represent the condition of the county. The financial statements that we published on the website also include the statistical sections that we are using for the GFWA certificate. We won't know whether or not we received that certificate until right around December or later. So I just want to let you know that we have posted the 2015 financial statements out on our website, the same area that we posted all of our other financial statements and our monthly budget reports. The fourth thing on your agenda are the claims. Now, normally we put these on the consent agenda, and I apologize, I'm not sure if we didn't get them on the consent agenda because of trying to rush at the end, but they're on the regular consent agenda this time. So if you have any questions, otherwise I'll look for you to approve the claims.
I'll make a motion to approve claims for $1,379,877.64. 160 vendors, 210 transactions, subject to audit, with the caveat that the reason this is extremely high is a lot of it's because of the closeout of the new building. And
highway-
some highway.
the highway
New
public
highway
works building.
building and also some highway, excuse me, some highway work that was done.
Mr. Chair, I'll second that.
Motion by Delide, second by Potter. Any further discussion? Why do we have a charge under historian? Is that for $1.95? I thought we just gave them 12 monthly installments and participant feedback. Did we pay them $1.95 too much or what? It's like the second or third to the last page there.
26.
Board, we do all the payroll for Soil and Water and the historian.
And then they
This-
pay us back, okay.
Then they'll pay us back for this. This
But
is our
why
select-
$1.95? That's what's driving.
It's an allocation of that select account charges that we get.
Oh, okay, the payroll. Okay, so that's just because they only got a couple, 3 employees, they can pay a little small amount.
Correct,
Okay.
yep. But normally, we will bill them and they'll reimburse us for that
Okay.
expense.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Post same sign, motion carries unanimous. Lee Kelly, County Coordinator.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I thought it'd be good to get on the board's attention prior to coming to budget time. We talk annually about the radio fee for the 800 megahertz radio. Last year, we had talked as a board about in the future looking at that fee and potentially increasing it. It has been at $75 per radio as the chargeback to both the internal departments and the external agencies. I believe since about 2009 when we first rolled out the system. These chargeback fees help to offset the cost of what it costs us as the county to operate these radios. However, it by no means covers the entire cost of having the system. So we're kind of coming before you today to ask if there would be an appetite to make an adjustment to that fee.
Chair, I'm wondering, because we've dealt with this before on the technology committee, I'm wondering if that wouldn't be wise to send it to technology and have us look at it there in a little more detail and
Mike,
some
you say you had a
input.
comment, or what were you
I think
saying?
Adam
Oh,
has
Adam,
also
okay.
of this.
Adam, go ahead.
Good morning, Mr. Chair and Commissioners. The reason I didn't add this to the Technology Committee is timeliness for getting the budget figures out to the departments. So I thought it might make sense to come here and discuss it, just so we can get our budget figures out. Right now in IT, we're sending out our budget memos all over the place. And last year, with the budget memo that we sent out, we did indicate there is a possibility of future increases. Right now, I don't know if, I don't have a figure in my mind as far as what this should be at. It was kind of a point of discussion. We have seen increase in costs over the years for maintaining the system, around that 30 to 35% mark, I believe, overall.
30 to 35% since the first year?
Since 2011, which is what I have on my spreadsheet here.
Okay. Yeah, I can just tell you that when we did this originally, the board looked at, how to do this, and we found out how other counties did it, and one of the models is that, the local jurisdictions that had their fire departments and their, ambulance services or various things, a number of the counties did where they shared, and if the county had 60% of them, they paid 60% of the fee, and then if City A had 4% of the radios, they paid 4%, and, like that, and basically the way to do it was to figure out a per radio charge based on the number of radios, so that's what we went with, and the understanding kind of is that number would change over time as those costs change, presumably escalated as they typically do, so I think we ought to probably increase them. I don't know if we could just pull a number out of there. Here, you said this went up 35%?
I don't have the exact percentage mapped out in here, but the total maintenance budget in 2011 was $167,764. And for 2017, we're estimating $229,002.
We're only charging $75 per radio.
Right.
Yeah. I don't know if we should, seems to me we ought to raise it. And
We probably should, Mr. Chair, but I don't want to vote for a raise without this going through technology, and if it's a timely item, then I'd say maybe just leave it for 1 year and bring it before, because when we've done this in the past, we've had fire departments and whatever, put in their input on it too, And I don't think it's the end of the world if the county were to support or subsidize the radios. I mean, these are for all of our citizens across the county as well. I mean, that's another way of looking at it. So.
Well, is every one of them using our system?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, it's the state armor system, but it's our infrastructure, and we're paying for the tower leases, the contracts with Motorola, et cetera. So those are the costs that we've seen increasing. I don't personally have any problem with leaving it at $75 a year, so be it. I would just like to get a budget figure out and.
Sure.
Well, how about public works departments? Do some public works departments use it, or do all public works departments use it?
Yeah, our public works uses it.
Our public works does. How about Monticello Public Works, Buffalo Public Works?
Lee might be able to answer that one better than me, but I'm not sure. We have a list of all the radios that are out in the county that Louise
Well, I
gathers.
don't know that it is different, but I
Have it in front of me. I know last year we have 546 radios outside of the county in the different agencies.
and how many does the county have?
429 internal.
So we're basically the smaller of the user, and yet we're overwhelmingly subsidizing the exterior users, and it just seems to me that the system ought to more accurately reflect who's using it, not just be on the county if the user said for somewhere out. I mean, that's what you try to do. You try to get expenses to go where they are, and
Well, part of it's the sheriffs and the sheriff, because of the way it's in contract, and that's included in their contracts. I mean,
but those
there's a lot.
446 include the sheriff's department, right?
429.
So
According to the
the
figure we got.
546 are not the sheriff's department, they're all external
External
users. Some of
agencies.
those might be private users, like ambulance services that are, they're not
That would be-
nonprofit organizations, people, they're not government. I mean, you go get picked up in that ambulance and get a ride and see how much you pay, and do we need to be subsidizing that? The taxpayers are subsidizing that then if they're not paying the full share of that, so.
Maybe a lineup.
Maybe.
Whether it be Alina or the Monticello Hospital, and, I mean, they utilize it too, and those are, what I mean, they're,
And I don't know off the top of my head if they're included in our figures, those particular agencies.
wouldn't they be using that system or not?
They may be.
They may
Well,
be.
then I presume they are, but,
They likely are, but they also might be paying separate. They might have their own contracts with Motorola and stuff. I'm not sure. I'll have to look at the numbers from Louise. We might have our list of agencies that we bill out.
I really think this should come to IT, but that's not a time thing. So if we do an increase, it should be very modest at this time, and then just look at it next year, so.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion to table this for 1 week and get some information on who and what and cost before us. So if we are going to adjust this number, at least we've got some data here to look at to justify doing any adjustment that we need to be on this.
is there a second to the motion to table?
I'll second.
Okay, motions to table are non-debatable. All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimous.
Sounds good. Thank
So you have a little better information for us next week.
Sure, sounds good. We'll do.
Yeah, a little raise is not out of line.
Exterior lighting retrofit. Tim, taking this?
Tim and
tag teaming it.
the tag team.
Morning, Mr. Chair and Board. Just following up on the questions from last meeting regarding the exterior lighting retrofit. The questions were kind of twofold. One being the necessity or the desire for the pole lights on that plan, and the second being the features on the lights. In the research last week, clarified the north lighting on the Historical Society does have motion sensors. That is a part of the package, so those will be in place with the approval from last week on that package. The second piece of that, the poles, the fixture that was spec'd by the engineer also does have the ability it has a motion sensor and a photocell in it. So if the desire is to put the poles in, the ability to, as a car drives up, the poles turn on to 100% with a timer to stay on as long as you want. And then as the timer expires, they can either be reduced to 50% power or completely shut off. So you do have that flexibility with the pole if there's a desire to put those in, and that is selected with those fixtures. That was spec'd by the engineer. I was unaware of that feature that was a part of that fixture. The second piece of the questions with regards to the desire, I stopped out and spoke with the folks at the Historical Society. Sally is on vacation for a couple weeks. She's unavailable, but Betty and I believe it was Laura was her name, the other gal out there. Spoke to the hours of the center. They are open one night a week until 8 o'clock, with the exception of December and half of January for the lighting
Christmas tree.
arrangement they have, Christmas lighting. They have a Santa out there and the lights, and so those are evening hours. They work, have the center open longer then, as well as the daylight being shorter. She expressed that they would really like to see the pole lights. Just from the standpoint of, one, they have those events where there's kids going out in the winter, they have ice on the lots, etc. And then two, oftentimes there's only one of them leaving in the evening, so they felt uncomfortable having the darkness out in the parking lot. That was just a concern they expressed. So they confirmed they would like to see them there. There is a pole light on the entrance directly. There's a telephone pole that does have one light on the entry. She said it's pretty limited in what it services. You don't really see it until you're
I think
right on the
I think it's
entry,
there
so-
for the entrance. It's there so
Right.
people can see the entrance and see where to turn in is why that
I
thing.
can display a photo of that if you'd like to see and took some
Well,
photos.
it seems like based on our discussion last time, then I guess if they feel strongly that maybe we should go with it. But I think then we should set it up then with the motion sensing and maybe have like a 10-minute timer or something like that on it. And these people are leaving the facility, I presume, and that it would pick up that motion as well and then go on for the 10-minute period. I don't know why just not have it go right down to nothing at that.
Mr. Chair.
Well, what about if the lights are out just like they are now? There's the one on in the entranceway. Somebody walks out of the building to go to their car. Will they set off the motion detector to turn on at least the light in the yard?
They should. That first pole should pick up that travel. I don't know the exact footage of how that
And Chris-
range is,
Well,
but
no
it
different
should
than
pick
a
it up.
car, I would think.
Well, I'm just saying maybe it went, but Chris spoke to this too, but I was out, my wife and I were at an event, and it was an evening thing, and it was snowing, and, yeah, we came out, and it's like, where's our car? It was hard to find. So-
Yeah, and Mr. Chair, that's a great system with the photo sensor. We happen to have a motion detector entry light, or we put outside, and it's very, very dim in the evening for photo sensing, but if someone comes up to it, it lights up. It's really a really nice system, I think, so.
I think if the poles are put in, that whether it goes to 50% or to 0 can be figured out, adjusted based on.
Yeah, you basically just see that
back
it's there, and then as you approach, then it comes on. So, Mr. Chair, with that, I'll make a motion to approve the,
Alternate three.
Motion by Commissioner Houston.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Potter. I guess I'd like us to try it at just, with the motion sensors, a timer or whatever you feel, however many minutes, and then just shut that thing down and see how that plays out.
Sure.
I think it would be trial and error.
If for some reason
Can be
people think that it
adjusted,
needs to be
yeah.
half all the time, I guess we can go with that, but
and that's the thing, you
go with
turn it
half
up.
all the time, we'll never go back because that'll always be considered fine, but it might be just fine. Otherwise, really, we're talking about thousands and thousands of hours a year where that thing's gonna run, where there isn't gonna be any use of it,
It's
so.
just one last piece to kind of consider. It's a 200, I think it's a 210 watt fixture. And so if that runs for 10 hours, you'd have about 2,000 watts. So about 22 cents
a day to run one of those fixtures. So as we calculate that out per year, I guess I haven't done that, but you consider that dollar.
No, but I mean, let's just consider our whole organization.
Yep.
We've got shops here and shops there and everywhere else, and I mean, if we kind of take that philosophy across the whole organization, instead of saving 22 cents a day, pretty soon you might be saving $22 a day.
Right. No, my point was when we're considering going down to 50% or 100%, you know, as we do some analysis on that and figure out the cost benefit of kind of how that shakes out down the road, once the poles are in, I guess that was my point to consider that.
Are these LED?
They are.
Okay.
Okay, any further discussion? Thanks for your work on that.
Thank you.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Pose same sign, motion carries unanimous. Mark, Technology Committee.
Technology Committee met on June 22nd. Members presidents were Burrell, Delyden, Hoffman, Tagaro, Kelly, and Hawkins. Others presidents were Odell, Hool, Cooper, Virgin, Goodrum, Schwartz, Strobel, and Cavalier. Two items were discussed. AG support contract. AGC is a phone vendor, and Adam presented the new support contract. Since the county is moving to Wright fax as a fax solution, there is some savings involved. If we remove it from the contract, give the county a savings of around $14,000. IT will have AGC order some extra replacement cards at a low cost to keep on hand in the event of an issue. And this will help offset the cost of the Wright fax. The new contract goes from August 2016 through August 2019. The recommendation of the Technology Committee was to approve and sign AGC contract. Discussion was held regarding the IT projects. IT management staff has taken inventory of all open outstanding projects. There are currently 105, with 51 of those added last year. IT is attempting to prioritize.
Proprietary?
Prioritize.
Prioritize.
You screwed me
How many
Well, I wasn't
commissioners did it take to say the correct word?
Prioritize.
Well, I didn't know what you were trying to say.
Anyway, prioritize each project. Each department will get a list of their open projects to prioritize. Some departments already have their listing already. Questions arose regarding ISS staff and human services could take on more duties that are currently done by IT staff. IT is spending 75% of their time maintaining existing systems and taking care of problems, with 25% of their time on new projects. Hopefully, prioritizing projects should identify some of the deficiencies. Possible outcomes: make it sourcing some projects. Would the county need to hire more IT personnel? Hire temporary personnel until projects are caught up. Recommendation again was to proceed with priority listings to all departments or bring results back to the Technology Committee. With that, I make a motion to accept the minutes and the recommendations.
Motion by Delight, second by Burrell. Are we fully staffed in IT right now?
We're short
We just had
one
someone,
tech person and two business analyst, and I think there was one other one, and then just a tech position too that somebody has left.
We just interviewed
So we're short
somebody.
maybe three? Okay. Well, just when I see item two, or to hire more IT people, if we're not fully staffed, it just seems like we need to get fully staffed.
No, we just,
I don't know if that's what that means, get fully staffed.
It was just a question, trying to figure out, with us being so far behind in IT, and everybody has these priorities. We have so much technology that everybody wants. You know, we heard one last week. And every time we throw something on, like I said, there was 105 current projects and 51 were added last year. You know, and everybody's is important.
Yeah.
So we're just trying to get a handle on what we can do. And this was just, is this what we need to do? We don't know.
But just, like I said, when I see two or three, my first thought is that we need to be fully staffed before we could ever make that assumption. But, okay, good enough.
But again, it depends on what we need.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Pose same sign, motion carries unanimous. Consideration of temporary front desk staff for Public Works Building. I thought maybe Mark would be here, or Mark and Steve, but.
No, I think that kind of solved its own issue.
Yeah.
Well, I know I had talked to Mark about some stuff too, and they've got a person from highway that can maybe stay back and do the 20 hours from that desk, and then if Mark and Steve share the,
Late last week, we received some new information regarding our return to work employee that will be able to
oh,
Yeah.
sign up there as of Monday, July 11th. I do recommend
just
that
got
we
flat
refer
with that.
this
oh, I didn't get that email.
to personnel to discuss further, because if for some reason something would change with the availability of that return person, we should have a plan in place if that happens prior to extension.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to send it to personnel for more further discussions.
I'll second that.
Okay. Motion by Delide and second by Houston. Any further discussion?
Just that eventually this will get solved. If extension moves out there, they're gonna have a.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, it's just on a temporary basis that we're just trying to figure out what to do.
Okay.
Sunny has volunteered to go out there, but Lee won't let her, so.
Well, and there is the possibility of one of the highway people staying back and covering it. Sounds like that's, would potentially work out as well too, but any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimous. Advisory, committees, advisory board updates. Commissioner Burrell.
You always do that when I'm not ready.
Commissioner Houston.
I don't have any board advisory updates. However, I have a public service. I have a public service announcement. I was at a township meeting and asked one of the supervisors asked me about the charge that he was getting for recycling fees when he bought some paint, and if we get any of that or how that works. So I asked our environmental specialist, Bill Stevens, excuse me, and he said that they added the fee to paint purchases at all the retail outlets to fund a new program where the state of Minnesota has contracted with a company called Paint Care to coordinate the recycling of architectural paint. So this wouldn't be auto body and industrial paints. So the retail stores have the option of collecting used paints to be recycled, but right now there's only 7 in the county that do that. So we're part of this program as the main county collection site. And it hasn't changed what we do, except that we no longer have to pay to recycle any of the architectural paints, both the latex and the oil base. So the primary benefit is with Paint Care program now pays for the recycling of these paints through the fee that's paid by the consumer when they buy the paint. So this program is going to save us approximately $10,000 to $12,000 each year in paint recycling costs. But we do not receive any money from the fees. So when they buy the paint, we don't get it directly, but we don't have to pay.
I think
That's my public service announcement.
the stores that take that in, I think they maybe get a little bit of money for
They
their
maybe.
handling of it. But I know, I've noticed that on my wife's, she's
Okay.
brought some paint
Yeah.
home too. And then there was kind of that store, it must have been
This was Menards.
one of the ones
that
in
he bought.
Monticello, if it
Yeah.
was, I can't remember which one it was in Monticello, but they had an explanation on there too,
Okay.
saying that no, now you pay this fee, but also you can bring paint here and drop it off free
Yeah,
as
okay.
well.
So they must,
that's
well,
kind
they're
of
one of
their,
the 7 places.
they're kind of educating people that,
Mm-hmm.
you have to pay that, but now you got something you can get also, so.
And I hadn't bought paint since this went into effect, so I didn't know.
Anything else? That was it?
That's it.
Mike?
Nothing this week, Mr. Chair.
Okay. I got one item. I got invited by XL Energy to come out they had a new substation in Monticello, city of Monticello, that was built primarily just due to increased demand in the area, but they did that went online, I think, literally just a few months ago, but they're doing a pollinator project there, so they've got 7 acres on that site of kind of wildflowers and different sorts of milkweed, so it's really set up for honeybees and like monarch butterflies and those sorts of things, so they've got like 7 acres of stuff they're planting on the site to increase pollinators, both butterflies and bees, and it was kind of a nice event. It was the day that rain came through pretty hard for about an hour, but they had a canopy out there, and they had a number of probably 30, 40 young kids were out there planting some of these things, so but it was a nice event, and it's kind of a nice way. They kind of mentioned all the right-of-ways they have and all the substations and different property that they hope to kind of expand this on on other properties to be a little more environmentally friendly with some of their right-of-ways and literally the probably thousands of acres that they control in the state, so. But, there's been maybe a half dozen or so places where they've already done this around the state, so we got that in Monticello now, and, so that's the report I have on that. Mark?
I was at a meeting with Wright County Community Action, a week ago, today. It was discussion with, their representatives on their health insurance. And I had gotten some information and I forgot to bring it in, but I intend on passing it on to county coordinator for discussions here in the future regarding possibly some additional health insurance options. It was an interesting conversation with what they had available and the way they're looking at doing things. So.
How many employees do they have at Community Action? 25, 30?
They're considered a small, so I think it's 47.
47.
Because they're under 50.
Okay.
Because anything over 50, then it changes. And they were just short-handed, so they were at, I think it was like 47 or 48.
Considered small, what, from the insurance bidding out? So does that being small help them or hurt them then? It depends who's in your pool, I suppose.
Yeah. It's probably the way it is, it depends on the pool. But anyway, it was an interesting meeting with their experts. One of them was from Chicago, and how their system is set up to do online, and it was a very, very interesting meeting.
So who is their insurance carrier? Partners, Medica, Blue Cross?
I don't remember off the top of my head. But I have, like I said, I have the information that I intend on passing on for discussions in the future.
Charlie?
Just real quick, Fair Board meeting last Monday. They are putting up an additional kind of sound system for the grandstand area, especially out in the infield. With the tractor poles and stuff are going on, it's really hard to hear, so they're putting a pole up out there. The pole's already there, I guess, but they're adding a big speaker thing onto that. And they're doing some siding on some of the buildings, some paint to kind of spice things up.
Yeah, I know, I got that already.
The other one was the extension meeting a week ago today, and they're working on budget, and it's a little bit difficult because they're going to be moving out to the public works, and they don't know exactly how much space they're going to get, so we're kind of doing some estimating, I guess. So that was about it.
Hey, when's your fair?
Yeah.
There's end of July, July 20.
A few weeks already.
Somebody's on the Fair Board right now.
No, he's not. No. And and actually, Wright County Community Action is going to kind of possibly have some fundraisers out there. They have some. I can't remember the people they're called, but one of the suggestion was a pie throwing contest, and if I remember correctly, Commissioner Burrell was was considering actually volunteering for that position.
I said if it was a pie eating contest.
I think if we got Burrell, Franz, and Potter, and Wetter, we could get those four to volunteer. That'd be a good slate of
Wright County Community Action could make some good money.
The fair is July 27th to the 31st.
Yeah.
Donnie, did you have anything to tell us about today?
Not on the agenda.
No, come on up. We won't take any probably official action on it since it wasn't, but as long as you want to tell us something.
Don Schmidt, Mr. Chairman, Board of Commissioners. The reason I'm here is I had left a message for Christine. The weed problem out there in Section 7, Buffalo Township, old solar farm. I don't think anything's been done, and I'm getting a landowner out there, a neighboring landowner, that's getting a little irate, and I don't blame him any. We got ragweed this high. We got Canada thistles, bull thistles, lamb's quarter, covering about 55 acres of land out there. And I've had 4 calls into our weed inspector. None of them have been returned except the other meeting when you called him, Commissioner Sawatsky. So I guess I'd like to know what's the problem, what is going to be done, or if anything's going to be done. I don't think it's fair to the farmers of Wright County or Buffalo Township that spend millions of dollars controlling their weeds, which they do, if you added it all up. I think you've all seen the sprayers running up and down the road the last couple of months. And then we got 55 acres out there that in about a week, those thistles are going to be ripe, and they are going to be flying, those seeds are going to be flying all over the country. So I guess, I don't know what seems to be the problem.
One over that way, not
the one at 12?
Yeah, the one over by 12. Chris, do you want to call?
Yeah,
today and see
Mr.
what he's
Chair,
got rolling here?
I spoke with Eric, and he was going to get a hold of Mr. Schmidt that day. He had called, but he didn't leave a message, he said. I left that message on your phone about that, so I thought it would have been taken care of, but.
And Chris, that, correct me if I'm wrong, Donnie, but that project's associated with the Buffalo Power thing. You'd sure think that a local company like
Right.
that would care a little more about the,
Apparently, there are certain weeds that the weed inspector, we don't deal with, and ragweed is.
Well,
one of
ragweed's
them.
one of them, but some of those are
The other
definitely,
noxious-
Well,
same
if it's a
spray that would
noxious
take down
weed,
one would
it
probably
has
take
to
down
be-
the other, so.
If it's noxious weeds, it comes under the noxious
Yeah,
weed.
ragweed apparently is not
No, but
listed, but
thistles
many of them
are.
other ones you mentioned
Yeah,
are.
thistles
Thistles
are.
are.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. No, many of the ones you mentioned are, but maybe a couple of them aren't, but,
regardless, there's just no
Is
reason
it-
that they can't keep.
yeah, I don't, like I said, I don't, that day he was gonna walk out of here and go find out who owned that property, so I don't know where it's at, but,
Yeah.
and I don't know at what point, how many, you know what I mean, at what point he can just go out and spray and give somebody a bill. I mean,
Well,
I'd
I
like to
don't-
know that.
I don't think he can. I'm not completely up on the laws, but I think he has
Well, at
to
some
go
point,
through
you gotta
the
be able to do it. unless
county
you gotta get a
attorneys.
judge to order it.
Have to go through the county attorney's office.
And then everything will be to seed though, too.
I don't think the weed inspector has the authority to, but it's his job to see that it gets done. I think.
Well, if he's been trying to get it done and nothing's happening, that's another issue.
Yeah, first he'd need to make contact and give him a certain amount of time, and you know, but,
So you haven't spoken with him?
He doesn't return phone calls. And to me, this is not
and
appropriate.
you have voicemail or message
Yeah,
machine?
yeah, he has a
You have a
message
message
machine.
machine, so he could leave me a message, okay, then, okay.
And so, I don't know, I get caught in the middle and it's really not my job.
Right.
I'm getting frustrated and
Lee, do you want to give him a call and tell him the county board wants a report by next Tuesday on what's going on out there and who owns that property?
Sure.
What the violations are and what we can best do to, what tools he has to make them comply. I don't know if he's got someone that's, I mean, what contact, who he's supposed to, who owns it? What contact has he made with them? Have they been receptive to doing something or not? And what tools he has to get it, make them get it done, I guess, would be the things we'd want to know, right?
You know what else I think?
Has he been out there on site himself? What has he seen?
You know what?
Yeah, he was
where I
going
think-
out there that day.
You know where I think we might have more power than anything? The conditional use permit said that they had to maintain a vegetative cover, and I don't think we meant weeds. So
Well,
we
maybe I don't,
We could revoke their conditional, that would be a good thing. Just
well,
say you could.
do they have to get a building permit to go out there and start constructing those things? Because we can, you know, of course, we can tell them we're gonna withhold that till they do it, and then the next thing you know, they don't care about it until a week before they want their building permit, then they go out and spray it then.
Just
but-
say that your CUP could be revoked if this is not taken care of immediately.
Well, maybe talk to
Check to
Sean about the possibility of sending a letter out saying that.
Yep. Because that was part of the deal.
Thank you.
Thank you, Don.
Thanks, Don.
Well, Tom, since I gave Don a chance to speak, I suppose you want to speak too. Okay. Okay, anybody else? There being no further business, we are adjourned at 10:05.